Welcome to Asset Niana, the series about reviewing operators who are related to the concept of cinema, even if it's a stretch. And today's video is kind of like that, but it's one I'm more than willing to make. You see, today I get to, marry my two favorite things in one video. Fate posting and Arknights. You probably know this by now, but I'm a huge Fate fan. And come on, I never shied away from my unyielding love for Francesca Prelati, considering the fact she's the audience stand-in, my channel name has her last name in it, my full chosen name is just her full name with my first name in the front of it. And even if we don't count all the Pilatisms, I have done several Fate videos in the past. And if you hang out in the Discord, you will know I've gone back into FGO recently, and I have my own thread there for that. Now, if you are a fellow Fate fan such as I, it's probably going to be no surprise to say that I am a big fan of Skyfire, because she is effectively the Fate rep in Arknights. And not only that, she reps the only character I like in the original Fate/Stay Night series, so today's video is all about my favorite girl Fader. As if I sound a little weird, it's because I have a fucking mouth ulcer in my mouth, and it's making it really hard for me to speak. I'm so sorry about that. Let's start with the basics. What is she referencing? Well, it's just Kinema Rin. Not only does she share a JP voice actor with Rin, she also has terrible control of her magic, kinda like Fate Stay Night Rin, has a smart ass, greater than though attitude like Rin, this is an upside, but she's also part of the King's Sword, which is just Lowlight's version of the Clock Tower, but turned into a joke for, dunking on the concept of the Clock Tower, which is completely fair. Like, one of its members is just straight up a Shiro reference, and the organization says a similar role to the Clock Tower, but here it's like massively downscaled and turns the Watchtower's kind of racist values to less noble magic families onto the infected by giving them a very petty reason to be racist. That being, some infected people killed the club's pet. Basically, every aspect of Skyfire is a dig at Rin and the Fate Canon, and I fucking love it. I've never been a fan of the basis for the Fate Canon, which is Fate Stay Night, and I always thought what sprung forth from its origins has always been far more interesting. So this depiction of the Clock Tower is very cathartic for me. To continue this side tangent a bit longer, I really think the King's Sword deserves some more relevance, because I wouldn't mind them expanding more on this miniature version of Fate Stay Night stand-ins. Is basically, especially since the last time Kingsword had any lore, it was in Golden Glow's story event, where Skyfire moved past infected racism, but the problem here is that Kingsword is a Victorian faction, and Hyperglyph really likes focusing on one particular aspect of a region when it gives it story relevance, because storylines is sort of the reason why, for a long period of time, a lot of Columbia's story relevance was heavily on Vine's Lab. It's a good storyline, yes, but it came at the cost of neglecting, the other interesting aspects of the region, such as corporate conspiracies with Mountain, and the general living standards we see with Melantia. I want to discuss this issue more at some point in a separate video, but basically my complaint is that Siege ate up all of Victoria's screen time, denying us more Skyfire content, which is pretty funny in hindsight when you realize Siege in her game is just the round table standards, which is a roundabout way of saying she's Saber. Saber eating into Rin's screen time. It's just fucking UBW all over again. Back on track though, Skyfire continues to joke that it's King's Sword by being a Year Zero 5-star splashcaster. That's basically everything you know about her quality, but you should know me by now. If I don't lead in with something incredibly overtly negative, I will just find a way to cope about that quality, and yes, I do think she has something redeeming going on, and no, it's not just because she's one of the splashcasters with the mod Y. I mean, it's a factor I do consider, but just like the sword she carries around on her, it's just the pointy end of this double-edged blade. First edge that I will use to defend her is her talent, because it's one of the few times I think Year Zero's bland yet simple talent design philosophy actually works. Art's Sniper basically gives you an art's damage bonus to block enemies while she's deployed. Yes, it's very simple and is just an art's version of Caesar's talent, but just like Caesar's talent, this is just solid. Maybe not bone of my sword solid, but considering you are most likely going to be blocking units, giving a free buff to your operators for doing their job is great. Like, pair as well with not only casters who should be attacking these block units, but also your ground tile arts units like your arts fires, your arts protectors, boards, and so forth. The buff is really good without module as well, with 15% and mod 3 making it 23%. Is it a 8% increase worth a mod 3? Maybe, but I do know a mod 1 is 100% worth it for Skyfire because a huge DP discount is always good for a class like this, where a huge DP cost makes a mid-class hard to justify deploying. Now, if you want mod Xlander, you can wait until level Purgatory. If I had to wait just so Fate/Strange Fate can have a normal anime fucking season, you can wait for why Mod X is a joke. Regardless, this is a solid talent with a solid Mod 1, so while it's an imperfect edge, it's still an edge that you can use to give yourself a little bit more of a oomph in a more arts-focused team comp. Her first skill is Attack Y, and yeah, it does everything it says on the tin. It gives you attack and makes you go, why am I using this over S2? There probably some merit to using this over S2 in some stupid situation. Like, I guess it might have a better DPS than S2 once you factor in S2's longer attack intervals, but S2 is giving you straight up 40% more damage than S1 anyway, and has a nice CC attached to it. This isn't even like a Quartz situation where the downsides of her other skill makes this a worthwhile alternative, nor is it a better one where it can be usable in a specific scenario like IS. It's just a generic skill that exists for new players until you get her to E1. It's like the Gandia, until you unlock the Noble Phantasm, if I'm gonna use more Fate terminology. And while Gandia is a good generic spell, you probably want to be using your service NP if you can get away with it. Yes, I am using Fate/C cards as my reference this time. Just be extra mean, because I know no one else plays this gem of game. God fucking damn it. Go play Fate/Supremacy, and make sure if someone whips out this specific combo out on you, to run away from them immediately. So Vin's Noble Phantasm, Skyfire's second skill is Fire of Heaven, and the reason to use her, even if it comes with the knowledge that you could have had something even better. Basically, we get an attack interval increase with a trade-off of a bigger splash, more damage, a stun, in the feeling that you're about to drop a space colony on Sydney.
待てよ、それ、フェイトのネタじゃなくて、ガンダムのネタだぞ。
God damn it, Parvati. I guess a more accurate Fate comparison would be Enu lashing the enemy? Actually, maybe not. I think this is giving this skill too much credit to compare it to Gilgamesh. How it's not even Ishtar level. What about Q-Caster and leave it at that? Yeah, okay. This is more about the same impact as Wicker Man. Actually, never mind, I forgot how sick it was in Shimosa. Look, the point is this skill looks good on paper, but in practice, it's a little more, disappointing, I guess. The huge drawback of the skill is because the attack intervals increase is huge. Like, it's taking it from a base 2.9 second attack interval for a subclass to a 4.93 seconds. You are effectively adding a whole ass extra 2 seconds to an already slow hitting class, and while the stun can help at M3, that stun only lasts 1 second, so we're only effectively reducing this attack interval to 4 seconds once we factor the stun in. It has good stats at least. Just skipping to M3 again, it's 240% of her attack and a splash area of 1.7 tiles, which is reasonable. I mean, the masteries don't look flashy on paper since it's only 30% increase of that attack, but considering M3 is giving you 0.4 more seconds on stun, reducing the SP cost by 4 and increasing the uptime by 9, that mastery song looks very appealing. Not Nero appealing, but definitely appealing. Let's be honest though, its main value is going to come in that stun CC, because I think once we combine that with a talent in mind, she's less of a solo DPS like most people would love to see, and more of a co-op DPS. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, as a cope, is that she is the prototype to elemental injury DPSs. I know it sounds ridiculous, but at the end of the day, she's just out Caesar, and they both excel when they're working with a partner. Caesar has a good S2, but it needs someone who can block to let it shine, which is gently hinted at with his talent. The talent is there to gently nudge the player into the right direction of how to use them, and we can see that again here with Skyfire's S2 and talent. The key difference here is that while I would say the workload is split more evenly, since Caesar kind of just does all the heavy lifting in his S2, the stun here buys the skill time for the blocker to actually get some real damage in without real threat. Yes, the stun is tiny, but every second counts if you ask me. Anyway, my point is that Fire of Heaven is an alright skill that deserves masteries if you're serious about using Skyfire. Its masteries might be small improvements across the board, but it's more about quantity rather than quality in this case. Okay, my mouth is hurting, and we kind of do need to end this script. So you know what? I want to expand on that co-op DPS thought I had last paragraph. So let's do that for the conclusion. I feel like that term is stupid, but it's an accurate one. It feels relevant to discuss this, especially in modern AK, with how Hyperglyph is pushing synergies more than ever, and we can trace this sort of philosophy back to its early days with certain subclasses like constructors and certain operators like Skyfire. Like, Skyfire could have been a selfish solo DPS, but instead they put stuff in her kit that makes her work better in a team setting, which is the main appeal of Arknights. The ability to draft a whole team strategy to be a stage. And Skyfire feels more like she's designed for that. She isn't a Lichman like someone like Kyobi, but more like a supporting piece that could help amp Kyobi's damage for her talent and her S2. Hell, even you can try to use her as a Lich Pin, she would still need a blocker to help her reach her best potential, a co-op partner. I think this is interesting with how elemental injury DPSs are being designed, and we can say they are a modern adaptation of this co-op DPS theory. While yes, units like Tragedia can solo proc very easily, and we even have some operators who will bypass the need for elemental injuries to be valuable, like Nymph, we are seeing a Skyfire-esque approach in their redesign. I mean, think about it like this. If we remove deltas from the equation, we have 4 subclasses focused on elemental injury. 2 of them are ranged, with Ritualists and Primal classes, and the other 2 are melee, with Primal Defenders and Primal Guards. A ranged co-op DPS and a co-op blocker. The only difference now is that the blocker is more central to the DPS process than before, since they help speed up the progress on that elemental proc. Basically, I think while we can make fun of cat-eared Vin over here for being dated, we can still respect her for what she has done for future design decisions. While I may not be the biggest fan of elemental injury for a few reasons related to its execution, I can still respect the idea behind it, and I very much respect Skyfire for paving the way for elemental injury design, just like how Fate/stay night paved the way for the way more superior spin-offs like Fate/Strange, Fate/Zero, and of course, Fate/Lost Encore. That last one's a joke, don't watch Lost Encore, but do build your Skyfires. Okay, that one was a half joke. Do whatever you want as long as you're having fun.